Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into today's incredible story, I need to ask you something that might hit close to home. Have you ever been at your absolute lowest point? I mean rock bottom, and had a complete stranger show up at exactly the right moment? Or maybe you've been that stranger for someone else. Today's story is about a woman who literally jumped into the arms of a stranger, not knowing he was a millionaire who would fall completely in love with her courage. But this isn't just a fairy tale about money solving problems. This is about two broken souls who discovered that sometimes the person you save ends up saving you right back. As we go through Sophia and Alex's journey together, I want you to think about the moments when someone caught you when you were falling, or when you caught someone else. Because here's what I've learned from your amazing comments over the years. We're all just walking each other home, and sometimes the most important person in your life shows up when you least expect them. Hit that like button if you're ready for a story that's going to remind you why hope is always worth holding on to. Subscribe if stories about real human connection matter to you, and let's dive in. This is the story of how 3 seconds changed 2 lives forever.
Sophia Martinez stood on the ledge of the Fremont Bridge at 2:47 a.m., her bare feet numb against the cold steel. Seattle's city lights blurring through her tears. 26 years old, evicted yesterday, fired last week, and completely alone in a world that seemed determined to crush her spirit. The wind whipped her dark hair around her face as she gripped the railing behind her, knowing that in a few moments all the pain would finally stop. The crushing debt from her mother's cancer treatment, the betrayal of a fiancé who'd emptied their joint account and disappeared, the landlord who'd thrown her belongings onto the sidewalk like garbage. She closed her eyes and thought of her mother's last words. "Mija, promise me you'll find your happiness, no matter how dark it gets." But there was no happiness left to find. "I'm sorry, Mama," she whispered to the wind. What Sophia didn't know was that at that exact moment, Alexander Kane was walking beneath the bridge, unable to sleep despite the late hour. At 32, he was worth $200 million, but insomnia had become his constant companion ever since building his tech empire had cost him everything that actually mattered. Alex had chosen this route for his midnight walks specifically because it was deserted. No one to recognize him, no one to want something from him, no one to pretend affection while calculating his net worth. He was checking his phone when he heard it, a sound like a prayer breaking. Alex looked up just as Sophia let go. Time fractured into slow motion. Her body fell through the darkness, arms outstretched, not in surrender, but in desperate hope that someone, somewhere might catch her. And somehow, impossibly, someone did. Alex dropped his phone and lunged forward, his arms extending just as Sophia crashed into them. The impact sent them both tumbling onto the concrete walkway, her slight frame trembling against his chest. For a heartbeat, neither moved. Sophia couldn't believe she was alive. Alex couldn't believe he'd moved fast enough. "Are you hurt?" Alex whispered, his voice rough with adrenaline. Sophia looked up into the face of the man who'd caught her. Even in the dim streetlight, she could see his eyes, deep blue and filled with genuine concern. I don't know," she managed. Alex helped her sit up, his hands gentle but steady. "Can you move your arms, your legs?" She tested each limb carefully. Bruised, definitely, but whole. "Why did you catch me?" The question escaped before she could stop it. Alex studied her face, the tear tracks on her cheeks, the desperation still lingering in her dark eyes, the way she held herself as if expecting the world to strike her down. "Because," he said simply, "everyone deserves to be caught." What would you do if you witnessed someone at their absolute lowest point? Sometimes we're placed exactly where we need to be to help someone else. Share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever been someone's unexpected lifeline? Sophia began to cry then, deep, wrenching sobs that seemed to come from her soul. All the grief, all the fear, all the overwhelming exhaustion of trying to survive. Alex found himself pulling this stranger closer, letting her cry against his expensive jacket. When was the last time someone had needed him for something that wasn't about money or power? "What's your name?" he asked softly when her sobs finally quieted. "Sophia. I'm sorry, I don't usually—" "Jump into strangers' arms?" "That's one way to put it. I'm Alex, and I think we should get you checked out by a doctor." "I can't afford—" "That's not what I asked." His voice was gentle but firm. "The money isn't your concern." Sophia stared at him. In her experience, strangers who offered to pay for things always wanted something in return. But this man had literally caught her when she fell. "Why are you helping me?" He was quiet for a long moment. "Because maybe we were both supposed to be here tonight. Maybe you jumping and me catching you. Maybe that's how we save each other." As they walked toward his car, Sophia realized something had shifted in her chest. The crushing weight of despair had lifted just enough for her to take a full breath. She didn't know that the man beside her was worth more money than she could imagine. All she knew was that when she fell, he caught her. And for the first time in months, Sophia Martinez felt something she thought was lost forever: hope.
The emergency room at Seattle General buzzed with the usual 3 a.m. chaos. Drunk college students, overdoses, and domestic violence cases. But in curtained Area 7, something quietly extraordinary was happening. Sophia sat on the examination table, her legs dangling like a child's, while Alex paced nearby. The doctor had confirmed what they already knew: bruises, scrapes, but miraculously, nothing broken. What couldn't be diagnosed was the way her rescuer hadn't left her side for 2 hours. "You don't have to stay," Sophia said for the third time, watching him wear a path in the linoleum. "I'm fine now." Alex stopped pacing and looked at her, really looked at her. Her hospital gown was too big, making her seem even smaller and more fragile. Dark circles shadowed her eyes, speaking of sleepless nights that had nothing to do with tonight's drama. "Where will you go when they discharge you?" The question hung in the air like smoke. Sophia's silence was answer enough. "I see." Alex pulled the visitor chair closer to her bedside. "No family?" "My mother died 6 months ago, cancer. I used everything I had, everything I could borrow, trying to save her. Lost my job because I missed too much work staying with her during chemo. My fiancé," she laughed bitterly, "he said watching me grieve was emotionally draining and that he needed space to find himself. Apparently he found himself in the Bahamas with our savings and my best friend." Alex felt something twist in his chest, a familiar ache he'd been running from for years. "I'm sorry. The eviction notice came yesterday. 26 years of trying to do everything right, and I ended up with nothing." Sophia looked down at her hands. "I couldn't face another day of pretending I was strong enough to start over." "But you are." "How do you know?" Her eyes flashed with sudden anger. "You don't know me. You don't know what I've been through." "You're right," Alex said quietly. "But I know what it looks like when someone's been fighting alone for too long." Something in his tone made her study his face more carefully. Beneath the obvious wealth, the expensive clothes, the confident bearing, she saw exhaustion that mirrored her own. What about you? Why were you walking under bridges at 3 a.m.? Alex was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. When he finally spoke, his voice was raw. I built a company that's worth more money than most people see in 10 lifetimes. Sold my soul to do it. Worked 18-hour days, missed every birthday, every holiday, every moment that actually mattered. He stared at the floor. My sister used to call me her hero. Said I was going to change the world. What happened? She died in a car accident 3 years ago. I was supposed to meet her for dinner, our first real conversation in months, but I canceled for a board meeting. The meeting ran late anyway. She was driving home from the restaurant when... Her voice cracked. She'd been trying to tell me that she was engaged, wanted me to walk her down the aisle because our parents are gone. Sophia's breath caught. Alex, I have all this money, all this success, and the one person who actually loved me for who I was is gone. Every night I walk those streets wondering what the point of any of it is, until tonight when I realized maybe the point was being there to catch you. Have you ever felt like your biggest success meant nothing because you lost what mattered most? Sometimes our lowest moments connect us to exactly who we need to meet. Share your thoughts below. The curtain rustled as a nurse entered with discharge papers, breaking the spell of shared vulnerability. Ms. Martinez, you're free to go. Just take it easy for a few days and follow up with your primary care physician if you experience any unusual symptoms. Sophia nodded, but Alex saw the panic flicker across her face. Free to go where? To do what? Sophia, he said as the nurse left, I have a proposition. She tensed. Here it comes, she thought, the price for his kindness. I have a guest house on my property. It's been empty for 2 years. You could stay there, no strings attached, until you figure out your next step. I can't pay rent. I didn't ask you to. Then what do you want? Alex was quiet for a moment, considering his answer. Company, I think. Someone who understands what it's like to lose everything that matters. Someone who won't pretend to care about me because of my bank account. You don't know me, she repeated. No, he agreed, but I know that you jumped and trusted a stranger to catch you. I know you fought for your mother until you had nothing left. I know you're stronger than you think you are. He paused, and I know that maybe both of us need someone to catch us for a while. Sophia looked at this man who literally saved her life. Everything logical told her to walk away. Rich men who offered too good to be true deals were dangerous. But logic was what had led her to that bridge. Maybe it was time to try something else. Maybe it was time to trust the arms that had caught her when she fell. Okay, she whispered. For the first time since his sister died, Alex Kane smiled, really smiled. Neither of them knew they'd just taken the first step toward saving each other's lives.
3 weeks later, Sophia stood in the kitchen of Alex's guest house, staring at a Google search result that made her stomach drop. Alexander Kane, CEO and founder, Kane Technologies. Net worth $247 million. The coffee mug slipped from her hands, shattering against the marble floor. She'd been living in what she'd assumed was a modest guest house, cooking simple meals they shared each evening, listening to him talk about work stress and difficult clients. She'd thought he was successful, the clothes, the car, but she'd imagined a comfortable lawyer or architect. Not this. Not a tech billionaire whose face graced magazine covers. The front door opened and Alex's voice called out, Sophia, I brought Thai food from that place you mentioned. He stopped in the doorway, taking in the broken mug, her pale face, his laptop open to his Forbes profile. You lied to me, she whispered. Alex set down the takeout bag slowly. I never lied. You let me think. Sophia gestured wildly at the screen. You let me believe you were just normal, that we were equals somehow. God, I've been cooking you pasta dinners in my thrift store clothes while you're worth more than some country's GDP. The money doesn't matter. Doesn't matter,
Her voice cracked. "Alex, I've been agonizing over whether I could afford you a thank you gift, a $15 book I saw at the used bookstore. Meanwhile, you probably spend more on lunch than I made in a month." Alex stepped carefully around the broken ceramic. "Sophia, listen to me." "No, you listen." She backed away from him. "I know how this works. Rich men don't rescue poor women out of kindness. There's always a price. What is it? What do you want from me?" The question hit Alex like a physical blow. 3 weeks of the most honest conversations he'd had in years. 3 weeks of shared meals and quiet laughter. 3 weeks of watching this broken woman slowly come back to life, and she thought it was all some elaborate transaction. "What I want," he said quietly, "is to not eat dinner alone for the first time in 3 years. What I want is someone who asks how my day was and actually listens to the answer. What I want is to keep waking up knowing that someone in this world gives a damn whether I'm alive or dead." Sophia stared at him, tears streaming down her face. "The money is a curse, not a blessing," Alex continued, his voice growing raw. "Every relationship I've ever had has been poisoned by it. People either want something from me or they're intimidated by what I have. My sister was the only person who saw me as just Alex, and she's gone. So I'm what? A replacement? Some charity case to make you feel better about your guilt? You're the first person in years who's treated me like a human being." The words exploded from him. "You cook me dinner because you want to, not because you're trying to get something. You argue with me about movies and books and whether pineapple belongs on pizza. You've never once asked me for money or favors or investments in your friend's startup. Have you ever discovered someone you trusted wasn't who you thought they were? How do you rebuild trust when the foundation feels shaken? Share your experiences in the comments below." Sophia sank into a chair, overwhelmed. "Homeless, jobless, saved by a stranger. Now I find out the stranger is some tech mogul, and I've been living in his charity like a stray cat he felt sorry for. Is that really what you think this is? I don't know what to think anymore." She looked up at him with eyes full of pain. 3 weeks ago, I wanted to die. You saved me, gave me a place to stay, made me feel human again. But it was all built on... I don't even know what it was built on anymore." Alex knelt beside her chair. "It was built on 2 people who found each other when they needed it most. The money doesn't matter. Everything changes with money like that. The power imbalance, the expectations, the way people treat you. I've been applying for jobs, trying to get back on my feet, so I wouldn't be a burden. But what's the point? You could buy the companies I'm interviewing with." "So what? So I'll never be your equal. I'll always be the broken girl you rescued." Her voice broke. "And you'll always be the savior who could make all my problems disappear with pocket change." The silence stretched between them, heavy with the weight of impossible circumstances. Alex stood slowly. "What if I told you I need rescuing too?" Sophia looked up at him. "What if I told you 3 weeks ago I was as close to ending it all as you were? That walking those empty streets at 3 a.m. wasn't insomnia, it was hoping I'd find the courage to walk into traffic?" His voice was barely a whisper. "What if I told you catching you saved my life too?" "Alex, the money can't buy back my sister, can't undo the years I wasted, can't make me feel less alone at 2 a.m. when I'm staring at the ceiling, wondering why I keep going." He sat across from her. "I don't know how to be around someone with that much money," she admitted. "I don't know the rules. I don't know what's expected." "There are no rules. There are no expectations. There's just 2 people who were drowning separately and somehow learned to float when they found each other. But the world won't see it that way. Since when do we care what the world thinks?" A ghost of his old smile appeared. "The world thought you should give up 3 weeks ago. The world thought I should be happy with my empty success. Maybe the world doesn't know what it's talking about." Sophia looked around the guest house, her refuge, her sanctuary, the place where she'd slowly remembered how to hope. "I need time to think," she said finally. Alex nodded, understanding. "Take all the time you need. This is still your home, regardless of what you decide about us." As he left for his main house, Sophia sat alone with the shattered remains of her coffee mug scattered around her feet, wondering if some breaks could ever be truly mended, or if sometimes the cracks were where the light got in.
2 days of silence stretched between the main house and the guest cottage like a chasm. Alex threw himself into work, attending back-to-back meetings that felt meaningless, while Sophia remained 100 yards away, wrestling with impossible choices. On the third morning, everything changed. Sophia woke to the sound of her phone ringing, an unknown number that made her heart race. Unknown numbers meant debt collectors, lawyers, or worse news about her already demolished credit. "Ms. Martinez, this is Dr. Chen from Seattle General. You're listed as the emergency contact for Maria Santos." Sophia's blood went cold. Maria, her elderly neighbor from the apartment complex, the only person who'd shown her kindness during the worst months of her mother's illness. "What happened?" "She's been in a serious car accident. She's asking for you. Can you come immediately?" Sophia's hands shook as she ended the call. She had no car, no money for a taxi, and the bus would take over an hour. Maria could be dying. Without thinking, she ran across the lawn to Alex's house, pounding on the door with tears streaming down her face. Alex opened it immediately, still in his pajamas, his hair disheveled from another sleepless night. "Sophia, what's wrong?" "I need help," she gasped. "My friend Maria, she's in the hospital, car accident. I don't have a way to get there, and she's asking for me, and I can't—" "Get in the car," Alex said without hesitation. "Alex, I can't ask you to—" "You're not asking. I'm offering. Get in the car." 20 minutes later, they sat in the ICU waiting room, Sophia clutching Alex's hand without realizing it. Maria was in surgery, internal bleeding, broken ribs, uncertain prognosis. "She's 83, Sophia whispered. "She doesn't have anyone else. Her grandson lives in Portland, but they haven't spoken in years. She used to bring me soup when Mom was too sick to eat, even though she could barely afford groceries herself." Alex squeezed her hand. "She sounds like she raised you right." "I should have visited her more after I got evicted. Should have checked on her." Sophia's voice cracked. "What if she dies thinking no one cared?" "She asked for you," Alex said gently. "That means she knows you care." Hours passed. Alex canceled meetings, ignored calls from his assistant, and simply sat with Sophia as she alternated between pacing and praying. When she finally dozed off in the uncomfortable chair, he covered her with his jacket and stayed awake, watching over her. At 6 p.m., Dr. Chen emerged from surgery, exhaustion written across his face. "She's stable," he said, and Sophia nearly collapsed with relief. "But she'll need extensive care during recovery, physical therapy, medication management, help with daily activities. Does she have family support?" Sophia's heart sank. "No, it's just me, and She gestured helplessly at herself, unemployed, homeless, barely keeping her own head above water. "The social worker will discuss options tomorrow. Medicare will cover the medical costs, but long-term care—" Dr. Chen's meaning was clear. Without family support, Maria would end up in a state facility. That night, back at the guest house, Sophia sat at the kitchen table, staring at her phone. She'd found 3 potential jobs, minimum wage positions that might, eventually, allow her to rent a studio apartment.
but none of them would give her the resources to help Maria. Alex knocked softly on the door. "Can I come in?" She nodded, not trusting her voice. "How are you holding up?" "I keep thinking about what you said about being there to catch someone when they fall. Sophia caught me so many times when I was caring for Mom. Brought groceries when I couldn't afford them, sat with Mom so I could work extra shifts, held me when I cried after the diagnosis. And now she needs someone to catch her, and I can't." Alex sat across from her. "What if you could?" "What do you mean?" "Maria's medical expenses, the physical therapy, a private care facility, or in-home nursing, I could cover all of it, easily." Sophia stared at him. "Alex." "But," he continued, "I won't do it as some grand gesture to win you back or prove my worth. I'll do it because you asked, and because Maria matters to you. No strings attached, no expectations." "You can't let me—" "You're not letting me do anything. I'm choosing to. For 3 weeks, you've been arguing that the money creates an impossible power imbalance between us. But what if you're looking at it backwards?" "What do you mean?" "What if my money isn't power over you? What if it's a tool you can use to save the people you love?" His voice grew intense. "You have something I don't have, Sophia. You have the ability to see who really needs help. You have relationships built on genuine care, not transactions. You have a heart that hasn't been corrupted with wealth." Sophia felt something shift inside her chest. "I've spent 3 years wondering what to do with money I don't even enjoy having. What if the answer isn't what I can buy for myself? What if it's what I can do for the people you love?" "You'd really do that? For Maria? For someone you've never met?" "I'd do it for you," Alex said simply. "Because you jumped into my arms and trusted me to catch you. Because you cooked me dinner and argued with me about movies. Because for 3 weeks you made me feel like I was worth something beyond my bank account." Sophia stood up slowly, pacing to the window. Outside she could see the lights of Seattle. Millions of people living their lives, facing their struggles, catching each other when they fell. "What would you want in return?" "A chance," Alex said quietly. "Not because you owe me, but because maybe we really were meant to find each other on that bridge. Maybe 2 broken people can help each other heal." Sophia turned to face him, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Maria first," she said firmly. "Maria first. And I want to be involved in choosing her care, not as your charity case, but as your partner in making sure she gets what she needs." "Partners," Alex nodded. Sophia took a shaky breath. "And Alex." "Yeah?" "Next time you're worth $250 million, maybe mention it by the 2nd week?" For the first time in 3 days, Alex laughed. Really laughed, and Sophia found herself laughing with him. As they embraced in the middle of the kitchen where their trust had shattered just days before, both of them realized something profound. Sometimes love isn't about falling. Sometimes it's about choosing to catch each other again and again, no matter how many times the world tries to break you apart.
Sophia stood in the sunroom of Maria's new assisted living apartment, watching her friend teach origami to a group of children from the local elementary school. Maria's recovery had been nothing short of miraculous. The best physical therapists, a dedicated care team, and most importantly, a sense of purpose that had given her reason to fight. "She looks happy," Alex said, joining Sophia by the window. "She is. Did you know she's started a volunteer program here, teaching crafts to kids after school?" Sophia leaned into Alex's warmth. "Yesterday she told me this place feels more like home than anywhere she's lived in years." Through the window, They watched Maria demonstrate paper crane folding to a girl who couldn't be older than 7. The child's face lit up when her crane took shape, and Maria beamed with pride. "You did that," Alex murmured against Sophia's hair. "We did that." She turned in his arms. "I still can't believe how much has changed." It had been 6 months since that night in the hospital when everything shifted. 6 months since Sophia stopped seeing Alex's wealth as a barrier and started seeing it as a tool they could wield together. 6 months since Alex realized that having money meant nothing without someone who could show him how to use it meaningfully. The Sophia Martinez Foundation had started small. Helping Maria was just the beginning. Soon, Sophia was identifying other elderly neighbors who needed support, single mothers struggling with medical bills, families facing eviction. Alex provided the resources, but Sophia provided something infinitely more valuable: the ability to see exactly where help was needed most. "Mr. Kane? Miss Sophie?" 7-year-old Emma, named after Alex's sister, though neither of them had mentioned that coincidence, came running over with a paper crane. "Look what Mrs. Maria taught me." "It's beautiful, sweetheart," Sophia said, kneeling to admire the slightly lopsided crane. "What are you going to do with it?" "Mrs. Maria says if you make 1,000 cranes and make a wish, it comes true. I'm going to wish for my daddy to come home from the war." Alex's throat tightened. Emma's father was deployed overseas, and her mother worked double shifts to make ends meet. The foundation had helped with childcare costs, so Emma could attend the after-school program here. "That's a very special wish," he said softly. After Emma skipped back to Maria's side, Alex and Sophia walked hand in hand through the facility's gardens. The late afternoon sun painted everything golden, and Sophia marveled at how different the world looked when you weren't just surviving it. "I have something to tell you," Alex said, as they settled on a bench beneath a flowering cherry tree. Sophia raised an eyebrow. "Please tell me it's not that you're secretly worth even more money." "Different kind of secret." He pulled out his phone and showed her a news article. "Kane Technologies just announced our largest acquisition to date, a company that develops assistive technology for seniors." Sophia's eyes widened as she read. "Alex, this is huge. Why didn't you tell me you were working on this?" "Because I wanted to surprise you." His voice was soft. "The technology they've developed, smart home systems that can detect falls, medication reminders, emergency response integration, it could help thousands of people like Maria age safely in their own homes. But the cost of implementing something like that is exactly what the foundation exists for." Alex took her hands. "Sophia, what if we could make sure no elderly person ever had to choose between safety and independence? What if we could keep families together instead of forcing people into facilities they don't want?" Tears spilled down Sophia's cheeks. 6 months ago, she was ready to end her life because she couldn't see a way to help anyone, including herself. Now, Alex was talking about transforming elder care across the country. What would you do if someone gave you the power to solve the problems you care about most? Sometimes our greatest gifts come disguised as our deepest struggles. Share your thoughts in the comments below. "There's something else," Alex continued, his voice nervous now. "I've been thinking about what you said that night at the hospital, about being partners. Alex, I know we said we would take things slow. I know you needed time to figure out how to be with someone like me." He slipped off the bench, kneeling in front of her on the garden path. "But Alex, I can't imagine making any decision, business or personal, without you. I can't imagine using this money, this opportunity, this life, without you showing me how to do it right." Sophia's hands flew to her mouth as he pulled out a simple, elegant ring. "This isn't about my money or your gratitude or any of that complicated stuff we've been working through," Alex said, his voice thick with emotion.
This is about the fact that you jumped into my arms and trusted me to catch you. And I want to spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret that leap of faith. Alex, marry me, Sophia, not because I saved you, but because you saved me right back. Marry me because together we can catch other people when they fall. Marry me because I love you, not in spite of where you came from, but because of who you are and who I make me want to be. Through her tears, Sophia saw Maria watching from the sunroom window, her weathered hands pressed to the glass, joy radiating from her face. She saw little Emma looking up from her origami with wide eyes. She saw the cherry blossoms falling around them like confetti. And she saw Alex, not the billionaire CEO, not her rescuer, not her charity case, but the man who'd caught her when she fell and then spent months learning how to fall safely himself. "Yes," she whispered, then louder, "Yes, of course, yes." As he slipped the ring onto her finger, Maria's cheers echoed from the window, joined by the children's excited voices. Emma pressed her paper crane against the glass, as if offering her blessing. "I love you," Sophia said, pulling Alex up so she could kiss him properly. "I love that you caught me. I love that you let me catch you back. I love that we're going to spend our lives catching other people together." "Together," Alex agreed, spinning her around in the garden as cherry blossoms swirled around them. 1 year later, the wedding was small. Just Maria, who walked Sophia down the aisle, Emma and her mother. Her father had returned safely from deployment 3 months earlier, and a handful of foundation staff who'd become family. But the impact of their partnership had grown beyond anything either of them had imagined. The assistive technology program had launched in 12 cities. The foundation had helped over 500 families stay together during crises. And most importantly, Sophia and Alex had learned that love wasn't about one person saving another. It was about two people choosing every day to catch each other when they fell. As they danced to their first song as husband and wife, Sophia looked up at the man who'd been walking beneath a bridge at exactly the right moment. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For having insomnia, for being exactly where I needed you to be, for catching me." Alex smiled, the same smile that had taken him 29 years to find and her 6 months to trust. "Thank you for jumping." Outside the reception hall, the Seattle skyline glittered with possibilities, and two souls who'd once been ready to give up everything now had everything to live for.
And there you have it. Sophia jumped into the arms of a stranger and discovered that sometimes the people who save us are the ones who need saving most. But here's what I really want to know from you. In the comments right now, tell me, who caught you when you were falling? Maybe it was a stranger who showed up at the perfect moment, a friend who refused to let you give up, or even someone you helped who ended up helping you back. Share that story. Because when you do, you're doing exactly what Sophia and Alex learned to do. You're showing someone else that it's always worth jumping, because there's always someone ready to catch you. And if this story reminded you that hope is real and love shows up in the most unexpected ways, here's what I need you to do right now. Smash that like button. It tells me that stories about real human connection matter to you. Hit subscribe and ring that notification bell, because every week I'm bringing you stories that prove love, kindness, and second chances are alive and well in this world. But most importantly, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. We all know someone who's going through their darkest moment right now. Send them this story and remind them that their next chapter could begin with a single leap of faith. Your stories in the comments, your shares, your connection, that's what turns these videos into actual hope for people who need it most. So don't just watch. Jump in. Share your heart. Let your voice catch someone who's falling. Until next time, remember, it's always worth jumping when you trust someone to catch you. I'll see you in the next one.